Hey guys, and welcome to game number 71 out of 100 of the Mac vs. Machine series, where I'll be playing 100 games of Scrabble against the top online bot, HastyBot. We're currently at 44 and 26, so we're just 7 games away from closing out this series with a decisive 51 win total, and hopefully we can get one step closer to that today, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, wow, this is a very fortunate start. HastyBot opens with ABBA for 10. We have an amazing rack, DEINST blank, so we will absolutely be bingoing. It's just a question of what our best bingo is. If we could somehow get like a 10-letter word through this ABA hitting the triple, that would be amazing, but probably not going to happen. Yeah, I don't think so. So probably our best bet will just be to double-double with ABBAs, maybe something like Descent. Looks pretty good. Of course, we'll make the real S the one hooking ABBA because that'll get us an extra point. Yeah, this looks perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and do that. Wow, he exchanges 5, so pretty rough start for the bot. And we have 3 N's. Not the worst rack, though. We could definitely do something like no men or non-men. We have a base. I don't think we can really do too much there. Maybe no men over here? That's not terrible. Not terrible at all. There's also no men over here for 19. What I do like about this is it does take out this big Q or X spot here next to this I in Descent. You could also play Moan to score a little more. It keeps 2 N's, which isn't great. But that's definitely another option. Also the most defensive, since it does take out that spot and really doesn't give back a lot. If I play no men over here, then I do still leave this spot open to an extent actually for the Z, so I'm not really helping all that much, and I also do give back big overlaps on column M, which is not ideal. So I'm kind of leaning towards Moan. I mean, the leave is not as good, but it does score 6 more points, and it gives back the least when I do have a lead. I definitely don't want to play non-men. Just no reason to put an N in the triple lane like that when I'm already in such a good position. So I think I'm leaning towards Moan here. I think just for the 6 extra points, it makes sense. And also just to take out that spot. It really doesn't give anything back to him. So let's go ahead and play that. Alright, he plays Pari, opening it up, which makes sense. We'd have N joined or unjoined with an E or a U, but not going to happen. Do I have anything through this P using the J? I'm not seeing it immediately. Maybe something through this A? Like gened almost would be quite nice, but don't think I have anything particularly strong there. I could, I guess, keep the J. I mean, I don't really want to play something like Pond, I don't think. The J is not a particularly good tile, especially on this board. Maybe I want to just play and join. I don't think I'm not too worried about the P. This does actually stop a decent amount of 7s on column M. So that's an option. Just burn through some more tiles. I guess I could also play Zhao. Maybe that's the strongest. I mean, it keeps the 2 N's, but it really restricts his options nicely because Zhao does not take an S. Yeah, given the score, that might be the most prudent play here. Just to take away several floaters. That's got to be best from a perspective of reducing his bingo percentage immediately. It is definitely a bit of an equity sacrifice over Enjoin, just because they score about the same, and just a D is way better than DNNE to eliminate those duplicates. So it's a tough call, but I think I'm going to block up here, given the score. If the score were different, I'd probably play Enjoin. But given I'll be taking a 100-point lead, I take out bingos. I also take out big plays, like if he drew QUA plays or something for 70. So I think it's worth it to play this. Okay, so he plays Pyro, and not a good draw for us, but I didn't keep a good leave, so I sort of asked for it a little bit. Probably just panged over here. I mean, it does stop some 7s, which is good. I don't love floating an E, but it's probably defensive enough that it's worth it. And GN is not a terrible leave. There's also Ganged, which is maybe better. Normally the P is a bit better than the G. GN, though, is a little bit better because of the potential for ing words if you do get an I. So could kind of go either way here, I think. Probably going to go with gained, I think, just because if I don't get an I, the G is still pretty clunky. And the P does go next to depth, so I have some potential to play there. But I mean, I don't think it's entirely clear which is better. They're pretty close. I mean, obviously pinged is 1 more point, but that's not a huge factor, since the P is going to score more than the G anyway next turn on average. So yeah, defensively doesn't really matter too much. Both the G and the P are pretty tough to overlap in that spot. Maybe panged is better for immediate bingo percentage just because I do draw a lot of ing words. It's hard to say for sure. Yeah, I think panged. Because PN can actually be kind of awkward too if I draw more high pointers. I think I'm going to go with panged. Okay, he plays Biffid, and this does work out well because now I have Languit. And it plays with Del at the minimum. Do I have anything better? Untangle doesn't fit. Nothing through an I, B, or F, I don't think. So I think Languit is our only bingo, which I will go ahead and play. Alright, he plays QI. And now I guess I'll just play XI here. I mean, it's 52 points. Oh wait, no, I have Delhi, so I should... Well, should I? Actually, I mean, I can play Tix here, which is more. But it gives back this axe hook, which could be kind of annoying for me to deal with, now that I think of it. And given the score, I'm actually probably better off playing XI. Because X doesn't take anything. So I'm not giving back a big line for 7s on the right-hand side. And I'm going to be going up 130 points, so that's probably my priority. I mean, he could still bingo from this O. But it's a lot harder for him to bingo from an O than it would be to bingo here, I have to imagine. Because he can also start with an S with delis. Yeah, I feel like... And also I take out this scoring spot next to Languit. There's F, H, H, W, W unseen. That'll give back easy 50-point plays. So I think I'm better off playing XI, just given the score here. Gives up 5 points, but the defensive merits are more important than the 5 points at this point in the game. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Alright, he plays Azo, and now I'll probably just play through this O, and this board is pretty quickly becoming bereft of any scoring or bingo opportunities, which is exactly what we want, being up over 100 points. So, I mean, we could play Gook, something as straightforward as that, which is probably perfectly fine. If I have a way to score more, Troke scores a few more, but keeps the G, which is a little bit clunky. I don't see a way to score much more than Gook. So it's probably fine. I mean, ALRT is not a bad leave. You could play Galoot, but in these kind of situations, I think it's always good to keep one vowel just for insurance, because when you're up this much, you always want to be aware that your opponent is going to try to open a lane and set something up, and the best way to get into trouble if that happens is to have no vowels on your rack, and that's the most likely way you won't be able to block it. So I think it's super important when you're trying to hold on to a massive lead like this. A smaller lead, you probably can't afford to be as careful, but with a massive lead like this, it generally pays to sacrifice some equity to keep at least one vowel just for insurance. So I think Gook is fine. I guess I could also play down here with like Troke, but no reason to even give that back. I'd rather force him to play there so that I can just respond and close it down appropriately. So yeah, let's just play Gook. Might not be the best play for equity, but I mean, I just don't see myself ever really losing after this. Yeah, okay, I mean, this is basically what I was talking about. He plays Shawl, which is fine. I mean, I'll just do something down here now. And yeah, I'll probably, because Bifida is good, I'll actually probably just play Lade. I mean, I do give back this D, which isn't ideal. Maybe I could do something with TDs. Yeah, I guess it's kind of hard for me to block this without giving anything whatsoever back. But probably Late is fine. I mean, I'm still going to be up over 100. If he somehow bingos to this D, then I should be able to re-underlap and just hold on to my lead. And if he doesn't, then I'm just going to play here and completely lock the board down. Yeah, I have Dilator, it's worth mentioning, but it's not going to play. If Rabas were good, it would play over here. Yeah, I'm just going to play Lade. Alright, and he just plays Doug. He actually blocks Remotion. Almost Meteoroid, but not quite. Yeah, and now, I mean, I'm just going to, I think, block this, and it's hard to imagine losing. I mean, I could play OM, but it's probably better to just play it on this side to not even give back the M at this point in the game. I mean, the odds of him bingoing to an M are pretty slim, but not 0. Yeah, actually maybe 2, just to keep more balance now that I think of it. Yeah, that looks perfectly fine here. I mean, I just don't think I ever lose after this play. Because now if he, like, somehow bingos to this... I mean, if he somehow bingos to this P or something, which is extremely unlikely, I'll have a good scoring tile in the M to respond, which is nice. So, yeah, I think I just never really actually lose after this. Yeah, I mean, he's just not even going to try to open it up, it looks like. I mean, there's really not much he can do anyway. So, I guess this is going to probably kind of turn into a pretty boring finish here. But, I mean, there's no reason for me to open anything up. I'm just going to play my... Well, am I? I mean, he could get a 7 under there, actually, with BYE. So maybe I don't want to do that. Although, to be honest, I do have a little bit of a concern with this spot, because he could try to make an opening here that could be annoying to deal with. So maybe it's fine to do that. Just proactively, and then block it down next turn. I do give back, there's so many E's though, I do give back a decent number of bingos. I probably shouldn't do that. I should probably just drop an M or something. Maybe, yeah, I can probably even play, yeah, let's just do that. I mean, again, I just don't think I ever really lose if I play like this. Yeah, okay, that's what I was sort of mentioning. At some point, he's going to have to do that. But yeah, now, I mean, now I'll just play Y. Close that down. I'm still up 100. So, nothing to really worry about. And do I have a playable bingo? Let's see. Increate Iterance Creatine. Creation, Reaction, Actioner, Anaretic. Oh, and Centiar, 2 through the E. Sorry, there's a 4th, but it still doesn't fit. Okay, so no bingo, and thus, I guess I'll just play here. I mean, yeah, I think I'll just do that. Keep this nice and simple. No reason to do anything stupid over here. So let's just play Coat and win this game. Alright, he plays Edifier, which is a cool play to create another bingo line here. I have Arsines and Sarnies, neither of which play. And actually, it's not super obvious for me how to block this lane. It would be worth probably blocking for spread. I mean, I'm not going to lose at this point. I'm up enough that even if he bingos, I'll win. But if I'm trying to think about, like, for spread, how to block this, I might want to play something like Sip. Because if I play Sip, he can, I mean, it's going to be tough. He could potentially bingo over the S and the I with something ending in ET. But then he's going to be floating me a bunch of tiles back for hopefully an out bingo. I think that would be my logic. If I were to go for spread, I'd probably play something like Sip. Yeah, just because it stops a lot of things like Fervent over here. Yeah, that looks good. Either Sip or Sap. Does it really matter? Not too much. Yeah, I don't really think it matters. Sap, maybe even the EINRS may actually bingo slightly more often with that pool. Now that I think of it. Yeah, let's go Sap. Yeah, it looks fine. I guess that allows bingos ending in N. Now let's go Sip. Let's go Sip. It stops more bingos. Alright, he just plays if. Oh, I'm down to 40 seconds, but that's fine. I don't think he has any bingos. Cittern doesn't fit. Yeah, no, he doesn't have any bingos. So I'll just play Rarer. And probably go out next turn. Yeah, okay, he just plays Corvette. There was nothing playable. Convert didn't fit. And now I just go out with, I guess, turns or something like that. Yeah, it looks fine. So, okay, 434 to 344. Kind of a boring game, guys. So sorry if that one wasn't the most exciting to watch, but it just sort of turned into one where I got off to an early lead, and it really didn't make sense for me to do anything other than play defense, just given the tiles I was dealt and how few he was scoring. So, yeah, kind of just played right into my hands there. I think I played pretty well. Again, the last half of the game was pretty boring, but let's just see earlier on in the game if there was any other decisions I could have made that maybe would have changed things up. So, okay, this is actually not a play I would have made here. I definitely would be exchanging tiles. Yeah, I mean, 10 points, only keeping 4 vowels. I think this is something with, probably with HastyBot's leave evaluator. Somehow it only has AEEI here as negative 5.13, I suppose, because it scores 10 points and the valuation is just under 5. So it's saying that AEEI is only worth a little bit worse than negative 5, which that is not at all aligned with what I would view it as. I would think that's probably more like minus 20 realistically. So I very strongly disagree with this play. I would be exchanging 6 or even, probably 6 tiles here, just keeping an E. So the problem, density is actually probably a little bit better. I just sort of saw descent and played that quickly. But density would have been a little bit better, as I mentioned, actually for 2 reasons. Number one, and most importantly, is that the E here is safer than an I, because with an I, he could potentially have an X or a Q on that triple and get it both ways. And number 2, density doesn't take an S hook like descent does, so I'm just keeping things a little bit tighter after my lead. So a slight little slip up there. I should have taken the time to see density, but I mean, descent obviously not a terrible play. And yeah, guys, I mean, this is why you got to exchange, right? You don't want to score 10 points and then just be stuck in this kind of pattern. And yeah, this is a particularly bad draw, but he did keep 4 vowels, so it's not at all an unexpected outcome that he'd have 5 or even 6 vowels on this turn. So if he had exchanged, he at least would have probably been able to have some hope on this rack. But yeah, now he has no choice. He's got to exchange. I would have probably exchanged 6 again here, but he exchanges 5. Moan looks fine here. Again, I'm not playing non-men at this point in the game. Nom also is reasonable, but Moan scores 1 more point, and I don't really... I think Moan is probably even better positionally, not to give back this M. So Moan seems perfectly fine here. He opens up, which makes sense. Yeah, obviously I saw this, but I'm never going to play that, given it takes an S. That's out of the question. Same with Jane. I saw join. I didn't even mention it because this is obviously completely anti-thematic to how you want to be playing when you have a lead. The last thing you want to do when you're up 100 points is just expose all these really strong floaters for your opponent to play an 8-letter word through for a bingo. So you're much better off. Enjoying would have been fine. I think Zhao is even stronger, though, just at this point in the game. It is a little bit of an equity sacrifice given the worse leave, but you're really starting to constrict the board a lot with your 100-point lead. And wow, yeah, it really helps my cause that HastyBot picks up 3 I's and a Y. Pyro for 32, keeping A and triple I. I mean, I don't know. Should he exchange again? Maybe. I mean, it's hard because you're down so much. You don't want to exchange. But at the same time, you're down so much, you don't want to keep an A and 3 I's because that means it's going to be like another 3 turns before you have even a chance to bingo. I feel like you have to exchange here, though. I mean, I just don't think you can play through this. Like, you need to bingo ASAP to at least get it back within 1 more bingo, because you're going to need to bingo twice probably at this point. I don't know. This is already a horrible position for the bot. I would have exchanged, I think, but I get why he did that. Yeah, Pang looks good. Again, Gang is the other option, but GN is just, I think, a little bit more solid given the potential for ING draws, and the G is normally bad, but when you have an N with it, it definitely goes a lot better. He does at least get a decent draw to somewhat salvage his AIII leave. Bifid looks pretty good. You could also... Actually, I would have gone Bifida, I think, just to set up this additional line. He's already down so much, and he needs every line he can get. So the bottom right of the board actually becomes a little bit trickier to access after Bifid, since Panged doesn't take anything. So Bifida creating this extra line, which isn't that easy to deal with, because now if I try to play over there on row 13, I'll also be giving back some counterplay on row 14, so I think playing Bifida would have been a little bit better for him, strategically. But yeah, I of course draw Languit, so nice draw for me, and at this point, it's pretty tough to imagine losing. Ticks, as I mentioned, is better on equity because it scores 4 more points and also gets rid of an extra consonant. But this axe line here could be very annoying to deal with later and high scoring, so I elected instead to play XI for a few less points just because EX doesn't take any back hooks, and I'm not giving back such high scoring bingo potential on the O column. At a closer score in the game, I'd almost certainly play ticks, but given I'm going to be taking a 130 point lead, it's definitely more prudent to keep things a little bit tighter. He plays Azo, which is not a real play you want to make because it closes down the O column. I mean, this O is tough to hit, but at least is a good marginal lane for him if he can hit it later, since it would score a lot. He just doesn't have a lot of great options. I mean, you don't want to be keeping the Z here either, since your priority should be bingoing. Zaz just gets rid of your best bingo tiles in the A and the S. I don't know. I mean, you could play Shoal. At least with Shoal, you do set up some Z8 potential, but either way, it's looking extremely bleak for him at this point. Yeah, Gook looks perfectly fine here. Shawl, he's got to open it up. Yeah, I mean, obviously, maybe I should just play Dog here and let him have this L. I don't know. I decided to... Oh, Biota is actually a really cool play, too. I didn't see that. That's a really cool fit. Again, I wouldn't want to do that, though. I don't like keeping all constants in these kind of situations when I'm up that much, just because it could make it hard to respond to setups. So I think late is fine, because again, as we saw, I sort of now give him one chance to hit this D, and if he doesn't hit it, then I'm going to play here every single time next turn and block it, and the game is just completely over. So it's sort of like, I'd rather do this because it's kind of annoying to shut down this L over here without giving back another line. But this D is very easy to shut down with a parallel. So I'm sort of giving him one shot, and if he doesn't hit it, then I'm basically saying the game is over. And that's exactly what happens. He plays Doug. Of course, the best equity play is something like this, but I'm just going to play 2, shut down that line. I'm up 100. There's pretty much nowhere to bingo, so the game is literally just over. I mean, he keeps improving his rack, but it doesn't really even do that much. I saw I could play this, but there are a lot of E's unseen, so it could give back some things like fleeces under here for 90, and there's really just no good reason to do that. I'm just going to play off an M. Again, I'm holding on to a 100-point lead. I have a good flexible rack, so if he opens, as I anticipated he did, I'll have all the flexibility I need to just address it. And yeah, that's generally what I was trying to do here, guys. I mean, I missed Canoer. That would have been a much better play. But like in general, when you have this kind of lead, it's really, really important to try to keep as flexible a rack as you can, because you know your opponent is going to be trying to make these desperation openings and setups, hoping that you have a bad rack and can't address them. So you really want to try to avoid as much as you can disaster scenarios, like especially 7 constants or 6 or 7 vowels too can make it tough to deal with. Like it's worth sacrificing some points or equity to keep a better lead when you're trying to play really, really tight defense in this kind of situation. But yeah, of course, Canoer is just simply a better play. I simply didn't see it. But yeah, I mean, at this point, either way, I'm realistically never ever losing this game. But this is just a simple loss of like 16 spread points. So a little bit careless there, but all is good. I mean, anything that takes out this O and this E is, I think, literally just 100% to win at this point in the game. Yeah, Edifier is a nice play by him just to create another opening. And yeah, you'll see all of my plays here are way down the list on equity, but that's not really particularly relevant in this kind of situation. It's more about just trying to keep the board shut and ensure that your opponent can't bingo or somehow miraculously get back into this game. So I like my play of Sip, because if he fishes off somewhere on the board, I often will hit bingos here ending in ES. And it's not that easy for him to bingo above here. He'd probably have to end in ET given the pool. And if he does, given my strong AE and RS leave, I'll often be drawing a bingo out through one of the tiles he floats. And of course, if he somehow hits something there, even if I don't have a bingo back, I'll still be up like 30 points plus my play. And I'll have no stress whatsoever converting that endgame with a play on the left-hand side of the board. So yeah, that looks good. He fishes. At this point, I knew there was nothing he could possibly have here that fit. So I just played rarer to move the game along, and then that was that. So yeah, I mean, again, not a very exciting game, but I think it was still a good instructive game, I hope, just for how to, handle a lead on a tight board and how to just really kind of make sure that you're managing your rack and that you're going to be able to address any openings your opponent may make. So overall, I'm happy with how I handled that game. I mean, Coat instead of Canoer was just sloppy, but at that point in the game, it didn't matter. So not going to really beat myself up over that. Descent over Density was the only other thing that was, I mean, not a huge mistake, but definitely a slight imprecision. And I mean, I didn't really get punished for it, but those things will definitely get you sometimes. So got to be a little bit more careful. But overall, played pretty well. Happy with this game, and we now jump up to 44 wins in the series. So we are, 45 wins, I should say, 45 wins. So we are now even closer to closing it out, and hopefully we will continue going strong in game number 72. So that's it for this one, guys. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you soon for game number 72. Have a good one. Bye-bye.